Yeah, maybe.
Scoot my chair up.
Yeah, come on up some, man. Why not? If you come up some, that thing might be okay. What's up, Roundup fam? What up? What up? What up? What up? You look like a movie star, man. You guys are.
Yeah, that's probably better. He turned it off.
Is that okay? I don't know.
Or over there.
Yeah, let me get a little more light on the face, maybe. Set the scene. What up, Roundup family? We got Smitty in the building. Thank you, Smitty.
Hey, you're welcome. See, I am good for something.
Here you go. Jimmy, thank you for your time, brother.
Anytime, no problem.
If you're anything like me, you're probably tired. Is that good? Let's see. You want to come up some or you go right there?
This is good. Yeah.
Jimmy in the building. Roundup family, what is good? What is good? Give me a few minutes to get everything rocking and rolling. You know how I get down on the technology. I'm not good at all with this technology, but I'm going to do my best to have an impromptu with brother Jimmy. Brother Jimmy, thank you so much for your time. Roundup family. Roundup family. We are broadcasting live from Florida. Florida. What city are we in?
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. That's right. Jacksonville, Florida. What's good? Roundup family. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Todd, am I too loud for you? Brother Smitty hanging out with brother. Once again, brother Smitty in the house. I feel like I don't even know the last time I did a video without Smitty. You want to say what up, Smitty?
Hey! Welcome to Florida.
Brother Smitty, I hope. Oh, yeah. Roundup family. Chris Haskins, realestateroundup.com. We are here to pour into your life. Yes, my mission, my ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. Today, I've got an unbelievable guest with me. Just meeting this brother down here in Florida in Jacksonville, Virginia. Jimmy, how you say it? Sherrills? Sherrills. How you doing, young man?
I'm blessed, man.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Man of the word, too. Man of the word.
Don't put me on a pedestal, though. I'm a work in progress.
He's still working on it. He ain't done with you.
He ain't done with me. He ain't through with me yet.
Good. I'm going to let all my Roundup family get on before we get into the meat of this one. But I have to say thank you, guys. We just passed 20,000 subs. We're getting over 1 million minutes watched per month, and I could not do it without you. I am foreverly grateful and forever humble to you to just allow me to pour into your days. So let's get rocking and rolling. I know this is last minute. I just sent out the email to you. It's probably going to be a short one because it's late in the evening. Jimmy and I were in class today down here at Ron Legrand's Business Management Bootcamp. How are you liking it so far, brother Jimmy?
Outstanding. Tons of information. It's kind of at times like trying to drink from a fire hose.
There you go.
But lots of good stuff.
A lot of information, right? So real quick, give me a little background, Jimmy, on your history growing up. Just give our viewers a snapshot of a picture of your life coming up, bro.
Well,
the old Jimmy before we get to we have to bring our viewers in. Yeah, the old Jimmy, because no one's raised with a wealth mindset. You said something that was very prolific the other day. I'll let you go ahead and drop it down. I don't want to spill the beans. You were talking about your mindset changing.
Go ahead.
You were saying something about having, I don't want to call it, I don't remember exactly, but you didn't have a wealth mindset. Mm-hmm. No one's born with it. Do you think anybody's born with it?
Absolutely not. It's something that you can be taught, you can learn, but nobody's born with it. Absolutely not.
Cool. And I think a lot of times for me, my environment determined my goggles, what I saw. Mm. So I want to hear your story. Give me a little bit of your background and a little bit where you're from and a little bit about yourself, my brother.
I try not to chatter too long.
You're good.
I have a tendency to that at times, but
Let it go.
Well, I grew up just as pretty much an ordinary kid from Grand Rapids, Michigan, inner city kid. Went to the public schools. Thank you, sir. Went to public schools. Did decent in school. Not necessarily a troubled kid, but kind of was in an environment where I associated with, maybe some bad seeds, you could call it.
Okay.
And single parent household. Love my mother to death. She busted her butt to provide and do everything necessary to run a household. I'm the oldest of 4.
Wow.
And, got into sports a little bit, wrestling, ran track, football. And, mom couldn't make it to all of those games because, again, she was busting her butt trying to provide and take care of the fam. Pops wasn't around.
Mm.
And coming up, I was, associated with some guys who, had troubled households, and they had to kind of grow up really fast and make certain type of decisions that I feel as though, a young 14, 15, 16-year-old kid shouldn't be worried about,
Wow.
when you don't necessarily have the bare essentials at home, clothes and, transportation to get to school or food. And so they're kind of circumstances dealt them a hand to where they were forced to kind of make decisions a lot earlier than I feel as though they should have been. So some of my partners kind of took a different path than I. And
You're putting that lightly, no doubt.
Things could have been a lot different for me because, these are guys that were in my immediate circle. And, we just had different paths. I chose to kind of try to stay narrow and on a certain path, and circumstances kind of called them to kind of venture off. But
wow.
Needless to say, I'm not dead. I made it.
And how old are you, brother, Jimmy?
Graduated school, went on to college, college educated. I'm currently today 31 years old.
31,
married.
Yes. Young people doing it in the business.
2 kids, 2 boys. Shout out to my boys, Champ and Aaron. 7 and 11. Married, beautiful wife. Married 9 years. How you doing, babe? Love you, queen. Who's probably bummed because she wanted to make this trip with me, but she's at home making sacrifices. So
wow,
I love you to death. I thank you.
Good for you. So yeah, brother, the purpose of this video, why did I want to do this when I met this brother? And there was another brother I wanted to interview too. I wanted to interview you, Jimmy, another guy, because your story to me needs to be shared because I think it's not in a bubble. I think there are other people that need to see your walk so they can relate to you, and maybe you can bring them along to whatever they're going through in your life, because no doubt your story is not the easiest, as no stories are.
Right.
They aren't the easiest out there. We're all facing challenges. So we're going to bring to you some of Jimmy's story. And when he was telling me some of this stuff, is unbelievable. And we're going to get into real estate a little bit, not too much, because I don't want to keep him up all night. We got to be up early tomorrow. Any questions you got, please, class, put them in the box. Let me make sure I got the box live here. Yeah, the box is live. What up, Chris? Hey, Daniel, Eleanor. Jimmy, we're going to get to some questions. Y'all can be able to ask Jimmy questions at the end, too. Is that okay? You're going to do some questions, bro, Jimmy? Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's so important for people to see that. Like, I did a post yesterday on Facebook. When people see me, and I'm no better, worse, good, or bad, I'm a 15-year overnight success. I tell people, I'm 15 years in the making, dude. I'm not better or worse, Jimmy. I don't want to say I'm on a pedestal. I'm an ordinary guy like everybody else. Mm-hmm. The guy that you see here was not who I was 15 years ago, and it's like you're meeting me now. So I get to show light on the backdrop of where we came from, because I didn't have a wealth mindset either. So you're in college. You finished with college.
Actually, I didn't finish.
You're done with going college. You're working.
Right.
You're working. I like that. You want to start there. You're working because it amazes me what you're telling me with this job. And tell me about your mindset as you're going to work years ago and what's going on in your mind, brother.
Well, I'm working the 9 to 5, hustling and bustling, trying to make ends meet. And the reality of the situation is what I thought I wanted, what I thought was the American dream. You pretty much go to work, you work a job, you put your 30 years in, you collect your pension, you retire.
30 years, 40 years.
30, 40 years. And, you sit back and you pretty much call it. But the reality of it for me was that I don't believe that was my journey. I don't believe that that was my destiny. I believe that God has something bigger in store for me.
Yeah, but when that had to, your mind had to be shifted from, it doesn't happen by chance. You had to have something put in your head, brother. I mean, it doesn't happen by accident.
Exactly. So I can't necessarily say that it was just one event that had taken place that gave me a eureka aha moment.
Okay.
I think it was a combination of, little events. And one of which was the fact of being a boss. I didn't feel like a boss. And I'll explain what I mean by being a boss. I worked for a major telecommunications company, made very good money, 6 figures, close to 6 figures, 80, 90 grand a year, 100 grand a year, which was well for me. And things had transpired to where it was taken from me. Okay. And having gone to college and being college educated, but not finishing college, it pretty much knocked me right back down to the bottom of the barrel where I had felt that I had worked my way up and was beginning to climb my way up the ladder.
When you say taken from you, you mean the position was gone or the money?
The position was gone.
Okay.
I was laid off, and I had developed a certain lifestyle for myself and for my family, and a lot changed in that moment. And that was the first sign of the mindset beginning to change, right? I felt as though the rug was snatched underneath me.
It was.
Kind of working dead-end jobs here and there to kind of build my way back up. And ultimately, I landed a job working as a business consultant for a cybersecurity firm. Okay, so now I'm entering the realm of corporate America, which I thought was my dream, was my goal. And I'm making good money there. I'm kind of building my status back up. But I still noticed that there was a void kind of missing. And circling back to what I meant by I didn't feel like I was a boss. I didn't feel like I was living my purpose. From my perspective, you're a boss when you're in control of your situation.
You were talking about that the other day with that Steve Harvey thing too.
And
purpose.
It's not necessarily all about owning a business or being an entrepreneur, but I feel as though if you are in control of your situation, then that's boss. You go to college, you get your degree, you basically make yourself marketable. You work the career path that you had chosen, that you're passionate about. And you build yourself up to a status and to a situation where, with or without this job or this career or this position, I'm still marketable. It won't break me. This position doesn't make or break me. Okay. I built myself up. I built my credentials up to where I'm in control of my path.
Wow.
That's boss to me. Wow. And if you're not in that situation and you are working a job that is given to you, and it's predetermined what your value is, we think that you're worth this amount of money because this is the salary that we're willing to pay you. And depending on your situation, you take it. Or if you're in a desperate situation, you take sometimes less than you feel as though you're worth, but you have to have a job. It beats being in an unemployment line.
Wow.
I've actually heard somebody say a little bit of money is better than no money. And I ran with that for a while, but that's actually not a good statement.
Not a good philosophy.
It's not at all.
We're talking philosophy. Good philosophy.
Especially when you consider time and your value. But the purpose and the point of what I'm getting at is you determine your value. You determine your worth. And if you're not currently happy with your situation, one thing I've learned is that you find a way to make yourself more valuable to the world, more valuable to society. And the more valuable you are, the higher your worth goes.
Wow.
So it was a combination of things for me to where I felt as though I was being undervalued. I felt as though I was capable and worthy of so much more. And
dollar-wise, or even just to fulfill?
Dollar-wise, value-wise, I didn't feel like I was living up to my full capacity and what I wanted to do. I wasn't happy. I feel like I was controlled by the position that I was in, if that makes sense. And I came across something. I can't remember. I'm not an avid reader, but I do read things that compel me, that inspire, that I find inspiring. And I can't remember if it was something that I read or just some conversation that I had with someone in passing, but something that stood out to me was that you should focus on a passion in your, I'm trying to think of how it went. You should focus on your purpose, okay? Because when you begin to operate in your purpose, it's no longer work.
That's what you were saying the other day.
Right.
Your purpose.
Right.
No matter what, everybody's purpose is different on the planet.
Exactly. And your purpose isn't necessarily about how much money you make, but if you determine what your purpose is and you pursue it, one of the things that the good book says is that your gifts will make room for you. And so if you are a person that love to cook, that's a passionate thing, but it doesn't necessarily pay the bills for you right now. You have to work another job in order to pay the bills. And the thing that you're most passionate about is a hobby at this time. Mm-hmm. It may be worth, taking a leap of faith to walk in your purpose for something that you love to do and really going hard in it, opposed to doing something that is not fulfilling to you. It's something that you're not passionate about. You're miserable doing it every day of your life. It may be worth taking that leap of faith.
It's challenging. So
that you can be fulfilled. And it's not easy.
It ain't easy, dog.
It's not easy. It is challenging. And what I'm getting at is that's pretty much the road that I was led to.
Okay.
I was working this job for the business consultant for a cybersecurity company.
All is well. Everybody's happy.
Exactly. And I had come across Ron Legrand, as well as a few other quote unquote real estate gurus on YouTube, and just kind of doing some research. And I realized that this is something that is truly a passion for me. Entrepreneurship in general.
Okay, yeah.
Not necessarily just real estate, because real estate is the vehicle.
It's
right?
Just one leg.
But entrepreneurship and being able to create your own space and be a boss of your situation and determine your own value in the world and in society, as well as create financial freedom for yourself.
Nice.
That's something that really became a burning issue for me, is that what type of legacy am I leaving? Earlier I mentioned that I have 2 boys, I'm married, I'm in a position where I'm young, but I have people depending on me. And things were kind of happening around me with friends and family members where, people would lose loved ones. Wow. And they would have to scramble around to, come up with money. And it's not just my story. It's not just me. It's, there's lots of people who have to deal with these sorts of things. I've had to deal with it as well with, people in my family who passed away, who didn't have a life insurance policy or didn't have a succession plan in place. Oh, and you kind of leave a big burden on those around you that love you, that are succeeding you. It's just like, that's one of the worst things, to kind of hustle and bustle and figure out, okay, mama left us, or grandma left us. How are we going to bury them? How are we going to put them in the ground?
You mentioned that the other day.
They have a house and they have these things and they have these bills, and how are we going to take care of that now that they're gone? Mm-hmm. And it made me realize that I didn't want that for myself. So I had to make a conscious decision of what I didn't want. And I think that was the driving force of it.
So what you didn't want, you're like, that ain't going to be me.
Exactly.
Good for you, brother. A lot of people, Well, even myself, I didn't have that forward. You're 31. I didn't get the forward thinking like that till I was maybe 35. It took me, remember I told you, it took me 40 years to figure this thing out, Brother Jimmy.
Well, better late than never, though, right?
Yeah. Because some never get it.
That's,
Maybe seven, huh?
I didn't mean to interrupt your thought. I was just going to say that's one thing that I believe in as well, is that life isn't always about life is about who makes it, not necessarily who makes it the fastest. So whether it takes this person, until they're 20, this person until they're 30, this person doesn't figure it out until they're 50. It's not about who makes it the fastest. As long as you make it, as long as you figure it out, as long as it's popped in your mind that, okay, am I living my purpose? Am I happy? You know what I mean? Am I pursuing a real passion? And if I'm not, what am I going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? That is Jim Rohn says the first question you got to ask. What can I do? It's sobering, man. It's sobering. And no doubt your journey hasn't been hard to get you here right now. I can only imagine.
No, it hasn't been easy.
I mean,
it hasn't been easy at all. Full of late nights, hard work, sacrifices, sleepless nights where you're operating on a couple of hours of sleep because you're making the sacrifice. I had gotten to a point where I was hungry for the information. Right?
On real estate?
On real estate and just about wealth building in general.
Wealth building. Yes, you are, for me, this is the picture of what I want to see. I'm done. I don't watch TV. I don't want to see no rapper, and I don't want to see no go. And nothing against them. I ain't mad at you. But I would prefer to see my man, I can go build with somebody, do some deals. I'm like, to me, you are the picture of wealth. I want you to be the picture of wealth, my brother.
That's another thing too, is that the hip hop culture is so influential in our community.
Yes.
Especially being a millennial and being a young person. And I like rap. I like
Me too.
R&B music. And it's not necessarily that I agree with everything that they're saying. I guess I'm guilty for liking the beat and just kind of liking the vibe out,
It's called hypnotic rhythm. Hypnotic rhythm. It gets you hypnotized.
But the reality of it is, though, a lot of the messages that they send, I don't
destructive
agree with, because a lot of these rappers that we think are cool and they got the swag, they got the sauce, the message in the hip hop community right now that they send out is mess up the bag, spend the check.
It's important, It's the narrative.
It's YOLO, you only live once, so I'm gonna just spend it while I got it, because I can't take it with me.
Wow.
Live for the day because tomorrow isn't promised. And I get that. I understand that. But the reality of it is, no, we're not promised tomorrow, but chances are we will wake up tomorrow. And chances are we will wake up a year from now. And there's some obligations and some things that we must adhere to. So we can't just spend all of our money and blow everything we have living for today without planning for the future, planning for tomorrow, planning for our heirs and those who are coming behind us.
Let's talk about that, though, the conspicuous consumption that is just plaguing our culture, Jimmy. Cut the TV on and with money just being spent so unwisely, no doubt, that you have
cars, mansions, jewelry.
Yeah.
And it all looks nice. It's flashy. It's great, but is it wise?
So just give me your opinion on what we're seeing. Obviously, there are forces working to put that in our faces. But what is your opinion on? What is your opinion on that?
My opinion is that we are influenced by the culture, but we listen. The result of our decisions is basically a result of the knowledge that we have at that particular time. So I believe many of us are just unaware.
Yeah, good point. Man.
Many of us come up in broken households, and it's not necessarily a fault to our parents or a blame to our parents. I'm sure they do the best that they can with the cards that they've been dealt to raise and take care of us. But the reality of it is we don't have the knowledge. That's another thing that the good book talks about, is that people perish due to the lack of knowledge. And so if you're not brought up and you're not taught money management and credit
Oh,
and
my
credit
Lord.
cards
Oh, Lord.
and saving and budgeting, if you're not taught these things,
Interest, principal, pay down.
exactly, real estate and property management, ownership. If we're not taught these things, we're unaware of them, and so we basically can only make the decisions based on the knowledge that we have at that particular time.
Oh, man.
So I believe that plays a major part in the culture. These are a lot of these artists are telling their story, and they're celebrating the fact that they've made it out of whatever situation that they've come from, and I applaud them for that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the level of influence that they have,
so powerful.
It's still important to kind of use your platform for good, to use your platform to try to inspire and positively influence somebody.
Good.
So case in point, we make decisions based on the knowledge that we have at that time. At some point, you kind of have to be hungry for the knowledge to learn more. And that's one thing that I made it a point to never get complacent with, which is why I'm here now at the seminar.
Only when the student's ready will the teacher appear. Doesn't work. That's the only way it's gonna work, bro.
You always gotta, strive to learn more. I've never arrived. I can never arrive at my destination where I know it all. And that's one of the things that I respect about our seminar leader.
Yes.
Who's an older gentleman. I believe he's in his 70s. And he mentioned that he actually still attends seminars and he actually still strives to learn more and know more.
Isn't that something, brother?
And so if he can do that and be that,
you better.
I have no choice. I have to.
You better. You better, bro.
But above and beyond that, we should always strive for the generation coming behind us to do better than us, as I'm sure our parents did. I'm sure it was a goal of our parents to kind of try to give us the tools and the knowledge as best they could so that we can do better than them.
Oh.
And so that's a driving force for me, is to get the knowledge and the game so that I can pass down to my two boys who are 7 and 11 right now.
Pass down young, right?
Exactly. And kind of instill those same principles, so hopefully they continue that legacy.
Good.
And they pass it down to their children. And each generation, I feel like, should be a building block and should get better and better and stack on top of each other.
All we can do is hope that they do, my brother. That's all we can do. You don't know what they're gonna do. I look at my children, like I can only pray and hope that the game that we give them, that they'll take it, run with it.
But I'm hopeful. You can look at the glass as half empty or half full. And it's not necessarily about what you leave behind for them or what you give them in terms of monetary, but what you put in them. Exactly.
That's right. You gotta put in. All right, so you're working. Then we're gonna get to some real estate stuff too, class. I'm not gonna leave you hanging like that. We know we're gonna cover a deal or two that the brother done, wholesale and all that crap. I know you drool and didn't want to hear that. But I am such a firm believer that I gotta get in your minds, because for me, I didn't get any money here until it was here. I understood how it worked, and even when I got a big old check, it disappeared quickly until I got it here. That's why I'm letting him go over his story so we can dig in the back office before we get to the front office. So you're working, then you real estate. Tell me that where you're transferring over to real estate. So give me that quickly so we can move on to some real estate stuff.
So I'm working. I have a conversation with my wife. I'm learning all this information that I didn't know before about real estate and property management and wealth building and succession and interest rates and all of that fun stuff. Credit.
You're not having to have cash to buy. No doubt you're learning. You don't need to talk to a bank. We don't guarantee debt. We don't put houses in our name. All that.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Entity creation and structuring.
Entity creation. Good.
Exactly.
Nice.
And so.
And your head is just about to explode. No doubt.
Right. And
in our world, we don't do any of that, right?
Exactly, precisely. And beyond that, I have to kind of sell all this to my wife. Right now, it's just
Lord.
an idea, right?
That's a mountain.
So it's an idea, and I'm learning all this newfound wisdom. I'm like, okay, the more and more I learn about this and about, controlling my own destiny and, making myself a boss by being in control of my situation, because working this job, I wasn't. If they snatched the rug from underneath me, I was going to be in trouble. And I didn't want to be in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
taking my
sobering, isn't it?
Exactly. So taking my power back, I had to make a conscious decision to do something about it. Once you recognize and realize something, okay, now it's time to make a decision. If you don't do anything about it, what good does it do?
Make a decision or not. Just keep going, doing what you're doing.
Right.
We do that too.
Which doesn't necessarily help anything.
Well, yeah.
Right?
I mean, you either make a decision or not.
So for me, I made the decision to really pursue this thing. And so
good for you, bro.
Had a conversation with the wife, got her on board with it. She was a skeptic, of course. And so there was a probationary process where I had to test drive this thing out. And I also needed to prove it to myself. So I continued to work my job. I decided I was going to try and do this real estate thing and this entrepreneurship thing on a part-time basis. Now this leads up to the first deal.
Well, real quick, I got to slide something in.
Okay.
I'm hearing that there was a point in your life where you switched the light on and you became a believer. A believer of real estate and entrepreneurship. Well, you got to believe it before you try it. You got to believe, you know what, this could actually work.
Right. And that moment happened when I attended a seminar. I had attended Ron Legrand's Fast Track seminar.
Makes sense.
It was in Chicago.
Okay.
And I got to this seminar and it was so intimidating, and there was all these other people there, and I was the youngest one there.
As you are here.
As I am here. And there wasn't very many people who looked like me.
Usually doesn't, unless you're in Atlanta.
And there wasn't very many people who appeared to have the same background as me. These people seemed to come from good families and seem to be well off. But I went and I decided, you know what? This is my destiny. This is my journey. I'm going to try and make the best of it. I'm going to see where this thing goes. So I attended the event. And there were conversations in the event that really provoked deep thought. One of which happened to be conquering your fear of failure. And that's when I kind of learned about the principle of failing forward.
Yeah, because you're going to fail. I'm still failing.
And I thought, what the heck does that mean, fail forward? And ultimately, fear is the main thing that stops us from doing something. It can stop you from being great. It can be the very thing that stops you from, doing that thing that is your calling and is your destiny, which could take the thing that you love from being a hobby and actually making it a reality. So for me, it was fear that had set in, that I had gotten complacent in this job and was concerned about the safety net, and that was
no safety net.
Exactly. It was a barrier that I had to overcome, because the reality of it is, how safe is it to work for an employer that if they decide, you know what, we're laying off for whatever reason,
you're done.
You're done. Mm-hmm. There's no guarantees.
Good for you, brother. Wow.
And so it makes more sense that if I'm going to bust my butt anyway, if I'm going to work hard anyway, why not work hard for me? Why not do it for me?
You're right.
If I'm in a position where, and it was sales, it was commission sales, if I'm in a position where I bust my butt to generate revenue for this company, and I'm just, speaking about my story, this may or may not apply to you. I'm not necessarily telling you to just go out and quit your job. What I'm trying to tell you is figure out what your passion and your purpose is and investigate it.
You are already almost self-employed, brother. If you commission only, you don't make no sales, you don't get paid.
Exactly. So
That sound like entrepreneur.
exactly. So that's what developed the entrepreneurial mindset. I had already been operating on a eat what you kill philosophy and working in sales.
So you got a little different story. Sales, which I did sales since I was 15. So it was no biggie.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you got a little background in sales, so you understand the fact of you don't eat if you don't work.
Exactly. And that you asked about the thing that really kind of switched the light bulb for me. It was I can continue to do it for someone else, or I can make that transition and do it for myself.
Right.
And I can switch from employee to employer, right?
Cash flow quadrant, my brother.
Exactly. So we're at this event.
Keep talking. I'm just check my little box here. Go ahead.
And they were
at the event, they were
asking people to kind of sign up, not asking people, but presenting opportunities to sign up for mentorship. And I took that.
Okay. So you're here. Yeah, that's all right.
And
got trained,
got some basic training, and got to the point to where, okay, I'm actually in real estate. I'm actually pursuing my first real estate property.
All right. We're going to pause there for a minute, class. Class, if you got questions for Brother Jimmy, if you wanted us to answer them immediately, please do the super chat. If not, if you don't mind just hanging out to the end, we'll go over all the questions. I'm sure this is it's exciting for me. I don't know about Jimmy. This is exciting for me to
awesome.
Bring Brother Jimmy to my viewers, man, to my channel. Thank you. So if you got questions for Jimmy, put them in the box. We're going to crunch them down at the end. So fast forward to real estate now. You're walking in it. And I want to tell you, Brother Jimmy, every day I wake up, man, I have to decide to be a real estate investor myself personally. You with me? I've been doing it forever, not as long as Ron, but I have to wake up and say, you know what? I'm going to decide to do real estate. Or I could decide to be an internet guy today, or I could decide to just be a landlord today, or I could decide to be a home flipper, because we got it all going on. But for me, I had to make a conscious decision to be a real estate guy for the day, man. And it's challenging. It doesn't get any easier. I'm just letting you know. You got to keep constantly be thinking. And remember, Ron was saying, the man works. He's 70.
72, I think.
Were you feeling tired today?
Yeah, a little bit sluggish.
I mean, he was going.
He was. And, my pride won't allow me to settle for that. I see him going, so
You got to go.
There's no way I can complain.
Yeah, you got to go.
There's no way I cannot go hard. So.
All right. So I want to drop that. All right, we're at real estate. Tell us, let's go over your first deal, Brother Jimmy. So for our viewers, for people out there that haven't done their first deal as you had until that time, tell me about the experience of your first deal, how you found it, what type of deal it was.
So my first deal, I came across my first deal within about a month after I had attended this seminar.
That's quick.
And my marketing strategy was, I didn't have very much money. I was operating on a shoestring budget. So it's true what they say. You do not need a lot of money to start up in real estate. I was doing what we call bandit signs. Another word for it will be street signs, basically like a cardboard sign.
What was your sign? What did it say?
It said, we buy houses, any condition, and there's a number listed at the bottom.
What number? Where did that number go to if I were to call it?
It went directly to my cell phone. I was giving out my own personal number.
Oh, my Lord.
Which I don't recommend that.
But you did it.
I did it. And one thing about bandit signs is that, there's laws and things that go into signs that I wasn't aware of at the time. And, they get snatched up by the sign police, whoever they may be.
You're right, brother.
But they work. Bandit signs work. So you put signs out alongside the road or, on a pole.
Stop sign,
that's on pole. Stop sign that says, we buy houses, any condition. And you list your phone number at the bottom.
Nice.
The call started to pour in.
Nice. Your boy has been arrested, by the way, for putting out signs. I just want you to know.
What?
Yeah, I've been locked up for putting out signs, man. So They locked me up, but that's another video.
So you weren't as lucky as me.
Oh, what happened to you?
I didn't get locked up.
Oh,
I
no,
can tell you that.
I wasn't as lucky as you. You putting the signs out. Go ahead.
So I'm putting the signs out. The call's starting to come in. I'm as nervous as I don't know what.
You don't know what the hell to say, no doubt.
Exactly. But
you tried.
I feel as though I've, dug up enough research and enough information to, at least have a conversation. At the end of the day, they're a person just like I'm a person. I'm just gonna have a conversation. Might not be pretty, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have a conversation. So the calls came in.
You got nothing to lose.
I got nothing to lose. There was a motivated seller who was in a position where they really wanted to sell. They were looking to relocate.
High equity, no equity.
It was free and clear.
High equity.
And it was what we call in the real estate investing world, we call it the ugly house.
All right, I'm cool with that.
Not that we're dogging people's houses, but it's kind of how a simple way for us to identify, pretty house, ugly house. Basically, houses that are in excellent condition and houses that needs, a little bit of work.
Okay.
So this particular situation and this particular seller, she had inherited the house. Her parents had passed. The house was too much for her to keep up with the maintenance. It needed repairs she couldn't afford to pay for.
She wasn't living in it.
She wasn't at first. She was trying to rent it out, but it needed repairs. She couldn't afford to make the repairs. She moved in the house and she couldn't it was just too much. She was getting up there in age and she couldn't afford to keep the house up. So she decided, you know what, I want to downsize. I want to move in, relocate, buy a nice, trailer, mobile home. Okay. That's what she had fixed in her mind. And I just want to move on. I just want to be done with it.
You're saying something that really, really hits home for me. You knew what you needed the money for.
Yes.
Class, find out what your seller needs the money. Don't be scared to ask.
Get the story.
Miss Smith, what do you need the money? Mm-hmm. Well, I need a mobile home. Well, that puts you in a mind frame of 20 to 40 grand, right?
Yes.
I mean, you're right. She's giving you painting a picture for you.
Yes.
Because you no doubt listened.
Yes.
Good for you.
And so the exit strategy I wound up going out, looking at the house, and we wound up getting the house under contract. And I did comps, ran the comps on the property before I went out. The comps came out at $135,000 ARV after repair value. So basically, this is what the house would be worth after we fixed it up. And we wound up getting. She wanted $50,000 for the house. We wind up getting it under contract for $42,000.
Well, how did I know 40,000? I read your mind.
We wind up talking her down just a little bit. We got it under contract, and at this particular point, I'm lit. I'm excited. I'm elated. I'm like, yeah, right. This is so retarded. Now that I think back on it, but I'm super excited, right?
Did you go out
for like the first day? I'm super excited. The next day, I'm like, okay, what do I do now?
Pause. Let's pause. Okay. You got the contract. Did you go out there and they signed it?
Yes. I went out there with a contract that I had found online. And I actually had an attorney friend of mine. Had everything that they needed to have for the state of Michigan. Went out, got it under contract, got the signature. We had 30 days to close.
I don't want to get to the sell part yet. I'm still on the buy.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got something on the buy side?
And no, that's pretty much it. So,
all right, I don't want to get to your sale. That's going to be a whole other part of the story.
Okay.
Because you're in it now.
Right.
Well, let me preface something that you said about why she needed the money.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was 40,000, and I'm thinking in my mind she wants to live somewhere debt free.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
How do I know it? Good God, I knew it. These sellers. I love it. The fact that you got the whole story Did you listen? How long was that conversation? You have to remember. Was it a long conversation?
It was a very long conversation.
Yes.
I had built rapport with her over the phone when we spoke on the phone about the house and about me setting an appointment to come out. I kind of asked her questions about the scenario, so tell me about the house, what's the situation, if you don't mind me asking. And so she kind of opened up on the phone.
Good.
And we wound up talking for about 20 minutes on the phone. We went out to the house, and she actually had she had two daughters, but one was there and one was not. So she had a daughter there, and then she had the other daughter on the phone, on speakerphone, and they were just grilling me, right?
Oh, yeah?
So, what are you going to, who are you? And
what do you do, Mama?
What do you do? And the whole 9 yards, right? So we just had a conversation. I took it in stride, and
we got the contract.
Hit him with the charm a little bit, made
Swag.
him laugh, right?
Swagoo. Swagoo.
And that kind of helped.
So you got the contract.
Got the contract.
All right, that night you went home, wife's happy. Weird. Sorry, class. We just got kicked out of the system. We are back. Sorry about that. All right. Sorry about that, class. So you got the contract signed. We don't call it contract.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it?
Agreement.
Agreement. Yes. You got the paperwork signed. Went home. Next day.
Holy crap. What are we going to do next? And based on the research that I had done, I specifically knew that I wanted to wholesale the property. Basically, wholesale is when you're the middleman, right? You find a rehabber, somebody who's going to fix up the property, and you basically just flip it to them and let them rehab it.
Flipping paper is all you're doing.
Exactly. You're assigning your agreement with this initial seller with someone who's actually going to fix the property up. So you're operating as a middleman.
So what was your brain thinking? How was your brain running 1,000,000 miles a minute?
I knew, okay, I need to build up a buyer's list. I need to find some buyers. I need to find some rehabbers. So also based on the research that I had done, I knew a couple avenues where they hang out.
Okay.
One is Craigslist.
That's true.
So I had the property under contract. I made a Craigslist ad to market it. I had an agreement with the seller that she would allow me access to show the property to.
She was living in it?
She was living in it, but she was okay with allowing me access to show potential funding partners.
Funding partners.
And possibly some contractors.
Y'all picked that was a nuggety dropping on you. Go and say that one more time, brother. Because don't forget the picture is the seller's living in the house, which adds another caveat to this deal. Mm-hmm. Hit him one more time with that one. How you got in the house with your cash buyer.
So upon negotiation, one of the terms of my agreement with the initial seller, we'll go ahead and buy your house for this $42,000 price. But I need access to the property to bring my partners by, my funding partners, as well as my contractor, so they can kind of look at the property here. Because I'm estimating based on my own eyeballs how much I think we're going to need to put into this property, but I need to verify that. So I need to bring my partners by to kind of take a look at it and make sure my estimation is correct as far as what I think we're going to need to repair this house.
And your funding partners and your contractors are in actuality who?
My cash buyers.
People that are going to pay you cash so you can get down the street with your money.
Exactly.
All right. How'd that go?
So that went Well, actually, surprisingly, I market the property pretty well. I put out
Signs,
bandit signs,
handyman special, cash cheap.
handyman special, actually cheap house at the top,
Cheap house.
handyman special, will not last, phone number across the bottom.
That's fine. Handwritten.
Handwritten.
The uglier, the better.
The uglier, the better.
Your phone was ringing off the hook, no doubt.
Phone was ringing off the hook. We actually got into a bidding war with buyers. So we had bandit signs. We also had Craigslist marketing ads, and
you all right, Smitty?
I actually had a realtor friend of mine pull a list of solds in the MLS in the multiple listing.
Great way to find local buyers.
Service on other cash buyers who have paid cash in this specific area.
Smart.
And so I was just getting calls and getting emails.
Good Lord.
And I had basically organized walkthroughs. I had about 7 or 8 appointments to walk through these prospective funding partners, i.e. cash buyers. And they each went out, they kind of picked apart the property, and I kind of had to let them know ahead of time. This also may be a good nugget. Most of the cash buyers that you're going to deal with, if you let them know that you're a wholesaler, 9 times out of 10, they understand the game. So you just kind of let them know, hey, I need to maintain a united front. So I'm going to introduce you as my prospective funding partner.
Or contractor,
and we don't need to talk any numbers in front of the customer. We're just going to go out, or in front of the seller. We just go out and we inspect the property, and then we meet up at a cafe or something, and we can talk numbers.
Keep your mouth shut when you're walking through the house.
But it helps you to give them, the heads up on that.
You better.
Otherwise, you go out there and then they start talking about prices and numbers and.
It's too high. 42. Yeah, that's way too high for me.
Right.
Then your seller's like, oh, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Smart man. So you were the glue to make all this interface between the seller and your end buyer.
The mastermind.
That's good. That's how it works. Being a wholesaler, that's all you can do.
And so I had it under contract for 42. I ended up getting it under contract with my cash buyer for 56.
14,000
for 14 grand, and got it under contract. And
did it give you a non-refundable? Did you know what a non-refundable was?
I did. That's one thing that I did know. And I gave the seller a $10 earnest money deposit for consideration of the contract to basically make the contract binding, or the agreement binding.
Yeah.
And I actually asked for $1,000 from my cash buyers so that they would have skin in the game.
Very good. Smart.
And if I had knew then what I know now, I would ask for a lot more.
What were you going to ask for them? What would you have asked for?
$3,500.
Oh, must have been a smoking deal.
$3,500.
You get whatever you want. It's not a lot of money to a cash guy.
It's just really not. It's really not. Because ultimately, if they're going to back out of a deal, granted, they don't want to lose any money, but $1,000, they may say,
we'll walk away from that easy.
We'll walk away from it. So, but I did have enough sense and enough wherewithal to ask for $1,000 as an earnest money deposit. Found a title company. They deposited directly with the title company.
I would have.
Title work came back, but there was a hurdle there.
Okay. Give me the quick version of that one so we can get to our questions.
Okay, no problem. So the quick version of that was that it was a quit claim deed. The seller inherited this property. It was her and her brother.
Ooh.
And there was no letter of authority, basically authorizing her over her parents' estate.
Mm-hmm.
And so we needed a signature from her brother because it was
relinquishing those
2 heirs, right? Relinquishing any
Control.
interest that he had in it.
Yeah, who was in control?
But the brother was dead. So we basically used his death certificate. And
you got blessed. Not because he was passed on. I mean, they didn't have to deal with that hurdle.
Right. So that kind of helped out the situation. She was the only living person that it could go to.
You better be glad he didn't have kids.
Right. And that wasn't the case. Her brother had no kids.
Wow.
So that kind of worked out. But it was scary because she had to find the death certificates and she didn't have that on hand. So we kind of had to figure all that out. But we eventually got it done.
We'll find that. So you got purchase agreement, contract assignment, assign this contract over to your end buyer.
That's correct.
You got your $14,000 and you're gone.
That's correct.
You,
I actually negotiated to pay the closing cost. And
for who?
For the seller. I negotiated to pay all the closing costs for the seller.
$1,000.
And I did not negotiate for my cash buyer to pay his end of the closing costs. So I actually ended up paying all the closing costs from both ends.
Oh my Lord!
My net profit was $12,200.
No, that's another golden nugget. Price of admission. Drop that one again, brother. So you sign a contract with Mrs. Seller. Miss Seller, I'm paying your closing costs.
Yes.
All right. So that's $1,000 off the top, or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Why would you have to pay your end buyer's closing costs? He asked you to.
As a seller, you typically would pay closing costs, and I should have solicited to him that, hey, I'm going to accept your offer, but I need you to,
pass it on.
Pay the closing costs.
Pass that on, man.
And he was a savvy investor, so he never brought it up. And I ended up eating both the closing costs, right? But my spread was large enough to where, it still worked out.
Yeah, fat pig. What is the saying, brother?
The saying is, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Man, you walking it, dog. You walking it. But I would say at least you could have passed on the seller's closing costs, though.
Yes.
Like, look, I'll sell you this house, Mr. Cash Buyer, but you got to pay for my seller's closing costs. Mm-hmm. That's $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, well, you got out of it. Now the key for you, young brother, is you got to determine what you're going to do with your dollars when they come in. Mm-hmm. If I can impart anything, brother, to my viewers, I so wish I would have been more wise with my dollars that came in. I spent them less wisely because I didn't have the wisdom. But the second thing was I didn't read enough. The Millionaire Next Door says we have to have not only a good offense, which you're out there, income, but we got to have a good defense, man. What are we going to do with the dollars that come in? Where are they going? Here. What I've noticed is I've aged. As long as I know I have a portion of them going towards my wealth, it will change your life, man. So I'm done with that. All right, so you're out of that deal. Anything else before we go to questions, brother Jimmy?
No, it was definitely a roller coaster ride. I learned a lot from the experience, but ultimately that kind of fanned the flame at that point. I convinced myself that, you know what, I can do this. And that was when I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this thing full time after the first deal.
Wow. That's so brave of you, brother.
So, and I ended up doing a couple more deals after that. So it kind of helped and it kind of worked out. But ultimately, you got to believe in yourself.
So after this deal was when you said, I'm done with the 9 to 5.
Right.
So, excuse me, class. All right, let's get to some questions in. You ready for some questions, brother Jimmy?
Let's do it.
Let's knock them down. Chris, what up? Luxury Car Store, you're here. Eleanor, what's good? Daniel, Jedsey, TNWS, thank you for your last video. You're welcome. You are welcome. Jedsey, you going down to Florida? Solomon, hey, good evening. Daniel says Ron Legrand reviews are not good. No, he's helped me out. What about you, Jimmy?
I got nothing bad to say about Ron Legrand.
You gonna spend money, class? You gonna spend money on education? You know, I got a lot of it from the hard way.
You know what? And whoever whoever you feel like feeds you, or whoever you
It's a bunch of guys out there.
right, whoever you kind of, whose style you kind of are leaning more towards, that's fine. You know, it maybe Ron Legrand is not the guy for you. Maybe his teaching style is unorthodox, and you want something more orthodox, maybe something more traditional, or because Ron's not that.
Blasted people this week, dog. Blasted
Ron's
people.
black and white, tell it like it is type of guy, but he means well. So.
All right. Nia says, greetings, class. Leland Wilson. Hey, just starting out in wholesale and just want to say good looking out. He's looking forward to his first deal. I've learned a lot from me and Maxwell and so many others, and now from Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy.
Nice.
Lenore, facts, you got to be in control of your situation. Yes, you're talking about being a boss. Princess Phase. The best thing I've ever learned was not to set limits on how much money I want to make or need to make. Thank you for that one, Jimmy.
It's a good one.
Long-term investment. Yeah, it is. Alabama real estate. Did Ron Legrand speak at the conference? Yes, it is his conference. I don't know who else. But.
Well, that's actually a good comment to make, because there's a lot of quote unquote gurus out here who are willing to give you the game and give you the knowledge, but not firsthand, meaning it's not coming directly from them. You know, their staff members will pretty much lead the trainings and the conferences. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you're kind of paying to be mentored by this particular person, but
they don't even show up.
They don't show up. So
oh my Lord,
I totally understand that comment.
All right, Eleanor, let's see what we got. Anybody got questions here? Any questions? Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow. Jimmy, you seeing all this?
I am.
Good God. Eleanor, she's addicted to finding new knowledge on real estate, but I get into analysis paralysis at times because once I think I know something, once I think I have something down, I find out I have to learn something new. Wow, yeah.
I can speak to that. I know analysis paralysis all too well. So I can.
You're not a thinker brain, are you?
I am what you would call a thinker brain.
You are a thinker brain.
And I don't know where you get stinker brain.
Ron, he said it. I didn't create it.
Not stink, thinker brain.
I've heard him say both, though.
But basically, thinker brain is basically a super analytical personality type. And, you know, that's how you get into the analysis paralysis. You want to understand everything. Okay, I need to break this down to the simplest term. I need to wrap my head around it. I need to understand it before I do it. I totally get it. The reality of it is you'll never understand it. It's almost never ending, because as soon as you learn one thing, you conquer one thing, there's something else that you had no clue about. You know, and in this business, there's so many different aspects that you can approach it from. There's wholesaling, you can do rehabbing, you can get into rentals. We're learning about lease option deals. Yeah. You can get into commercial. I mean,
it never ends.
There's so many aspects of it. So what helped me is to develop a one-track mind.
Focus on one thing, you mean?
Focus on one thing at a time.
Wholesaling.
And for me, that was wholesaling. Okay. Ron and some of the other leaders that kind of spoke about all these different other exit strategies.
Whole bunch of them.
And a lot of it I kind of tuned out.
Good for you.
I kind of honed in on the one. Okay, I'm going to learn this one, try to get this one down, and then I'll gradually move on to the next thing.
Good, yeah. You focus on one. That's the same thing I did back in 2004. One, I'm just like, let me learn this wholesale before I get into subject to lease auction, master lease auctions, owner finance, and contractor D. It can blow your mind.
Yes.
You do not want to try to get all the exit strategies at once.
And it's overwhelming. I mean, and it doesn't help. But here's the biggest thing, though. The biggest thing is this. Even with analysis paralysis, you have to push through it and you have to take action.
Action overcomes that.
And that's huge. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if it's a situation where you just dip your finger in it, you have to take some type of action. Maybe, you know, taking this big leap of faith and, you know, quitting your job to go pursue this thing, maybe that's not realistic for you, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
But
Everybody.
you know, part-time, on the weekends, however you have to get it, you have to find a way to push through that and take action and convince yourself that you can do this thing. Because otherwise, if you're thinking I need to wrap my head around all this stuff before I do it, you're never going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll never be able to wrap your head around everything.
You won't do nothing. One. I like the way you did that, brother. One. Focus on one thing. Who said that? Eleanor. Yeah, one thing. Beezer. Hey, what up, Beezer? Rosanna. Hey, Rosanna. Thanks for coming in.
It was a good comment.
It was. If you can think it, you can see it. Oh no, let's see. Kyla, what's going on?
Shelly looks like.
Did I miss something?
Shelly Z looks like. There's a good question.
Shelly Z. What did you do first? Did you set up an LLC to conduct your business? And what state did you set it up in? Shelly Z. Shelly.
Good question. So for me, I actually did set my LLC up first.
Why is that?
It was highly recommended to me that you do not want to purchase real estate in your own name.
You're not buying nothing, though. You're just flipping paper.
Even still. And again, speaking for me and my situation, that was what I had done first. But that's not something that you have to let stop you as well. You can do a wholesale deal without an entity in your own name.
That's right.
When you actually buy and you're going to keep the property, even if you do that in your own name initially, you eventually at some point want to transfer it into an entity, into an LLC.
Yeah, initially.
So for me, I did go ahead and get the LLC set up first. And you asked for what state?
Oh yeah, what state?
I operate my business in the state of Michigan, so I did it in the state of Michigan.
So he's in Michigan. And you did say, I want to make sure that my class hears that you set up an LLC, but you're saying you don't have to.
That is correct. Don't let that be the thing that stops you or deters you, because I got into that minutia as well. I can admit to that. Oh, I need my business cards. And,
Business cards.
I need my office. I got to have my office set up. I need my logo, and you're gonna find a business. Exactly. You're gonna find a laundry list of things that you think you need before you can get started, and that's not the case.
You can keep doing. You can play business your way up out of here. Would you say?
Absolutely.
LLC. You need to focus. I hear them say you need to focus on getting a check.
Exactly.
Chris, thank you for your support, brother. Chris, thank you, Chris. Yeah, you wilding out, man. Thank you. All right, what other questions we got? You got any questions? Mr. Transaction, what up, dog? Kyla, advance, more information. You are great love. They're loving you, Jimmy. They're loving you. You're going to take my channel, man. Good gracious. Jimmy taking over. How did you get... Corwin Reed wants to know, how did you get funding? How did you get funding?
There was no funding to get for this particular transaction. I basically went out, got a deal, and
Piece of paper.
There's a lot of different things and a lot of different methodologies being taught out there too. Some people believe you need to go and find the cash buyers first, basically find the money first, and then go get the deal. I chose to go get the deal first so that you have something real, something tangible to talk to the cash buyers about when you find them. Oftentimes, it's a lot easier to find them when you say, okay, I have something under contract. I got something I can show you right now. Let's set up an appointment. I can go and show you the property now.
No, we'll run to you.
So
they ran to you, no doubt. I mean, they were
exactly.
Cash buyers are like sharks in a bucket. You know, all you got to do is drop that deal down in the bucket. We're gonna eat it up.
So to answer your question simply, there really was no funding to get. I just had to find a cash buyer who was willing to actually go in and fix up the property, rehab the property.
Yeah, we need money. What did he need money for? He was not buying anything. He's taking a piece of paper, selling that piece of paper to another investor, and he's gone.
That's correct.
Always know your exit strategy before you're going in. Yes.
Begin with the end in mind.
End. Yes. That comes with training, though. You don't. Everybody's worried about. Everybody's worried about how I'm going to get into this house. I meet so many people. They want to get in the house, but I'm like, first question is, what is your exit strategy, Jimmy? How the hell are you going to get out of it? Get your money.
Right.
Which no doubt you thought about that before you made your offer.
Right. That's correct.
Question: do you come up with your repair price by the square footage, Jimmy? Eleanor wants to know. Do you come up with your rehab? Obviously, obviously you're not an expert renovator. Never renovated a house, no doubt.
Correct.
So she wants to know: do you come up with your repair price by the square foot of the property?
You can, and that's one aspect of it. You can use the square foot of it. I mean, when you're trying to determine, flooring and things of that nature.
Is there a flat number? She put $30 a square foot. Is there a flat number there? I don't know.
No, there's not really. It's not that black and white, because there's a lot of different things that you could do depending on how pretty you wanted to make the property. In some cases, you can spend 20 grand on rehabbing a property to fix it up. You can spend 40 grand on the same house.
70, I don't know.
It just depends on how nice you want to make it, and also how cheap you can find the materials, how cheap you can find the contractors or the subcontractors to do the work for you.
For our viewers, Jimmy, that think that they need to be professional contractors and estimate repairs down to the dollar, which no doubt you didn't.
I did not.
You never laid any flooring or laid a 2x4 in your life, probably.
That's correct. I'll tell you exactly what I did. I took this very simple model. I grouped the numbers into 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000. I go out, I look around, anything that looks like it needs to be repaired, I will mark that down as, okay, that needs to be repaired. And I just basically pick one. I look at this house, I say, okay, which does this look closest to? Does it look like it need 5 grand total worth of work, or does it look like it need 25 grand? And the reality of it is this: chances are you're going to be wrong.
Yeah, I am.
You're going to be totally wrong, and that's okay. It basically just gives you a starting point.
It started.
When I went to my cash buyers and I developed this report for them where I could show them pictures, and I had the numbers broken down for them on their spread and the profit that I think that they could make. And I say, well, we think it needs about $20,000 worth of work. They're going to come in, they're going to do their own assessments. And they'll make adjustments in their offer based on that. Well, this is our offer. We actually think it needs a little bit more than that. But what you're doing is you get it's a bid. Okay, just send me in your highest and your best. But one thing that you never want to rely on in any business is the number one. The number one in anything is bad. So the point is, you got to find more than one buyer. You don't want to put your back up against the wall. Otherwise, you have no leverage to negotiate with. But if you can kind of get some type of, bidding war going
momentum,
or show that other people are interested in the property, it kind of creates,
synergy,
chaos.
brother.
Exactly.
Create synergy for you.
And it'll help. It'll help you create a demand.
That's right, a demand for your product. That's right. But you estimated. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So I estimated that the property would take about $25,000 worth of work.
What did your cash buyer estimate?
They actually happened to estimate it fairly similar to what I mentioned, and it was just based on their style. Their style is. I came across some who said, you know what? Nope, we think it needs 40 grand worth of work.
That'd be me.
This is actually our price. Or this is our highest and best offer based on that.
You might have sold to a buy, renovate, and rent guy. It sounds like.
Could be, but the guy that I sold to, his style is basically, we're not looking to make the property, the Trump Towers or anything like that. We're basically just making it pretty enough to sell. Plus, they were doing sweat equity. He was gonna do a lot of the repairs himself. He was a handy person himself.
Good buyer.
That's actually another question that it helps to ask your end buyers too. Will you be doing the work yourself, or will you be hiring,
good nugget,
a general contractor?
Good nugget.
Because general contractors generally are going to cost more in analyzing your repairs. and you can save money if that person is going to do a lot of the repairs themselves. But you don't need to get it down to a science and get it perfect to the penny. Absolutely not. It's just a starting point.
Yep. And if you mess it up, you can always go back.
Exactly.
You can always go back. It's not, they won't, your seller, I promise, won't pull out a gun and shoot you.
Here's another thing that I think helped me. I expected to make mistakes. I wasn't going to let that deter me. I didn't expect this thing, and it was something that I found in research. I found on a blog somewhere, I think it was BP, Bigger Pockets, where someone had left a comment saying that if you are a newbie, they call it noob these days, if you're a noob, and you expect things to go absolutely perfect on your first deal, you're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
So I took that and I said, you know what? It was less shocking when things went wrong. Of course, her brother is
passed away. On the title.
Also, a person who could have interest in this thing. Of course, whatever the case happens.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Celeste, thank you. Celeste wants to say thanks for bringing you on, Jimmy. Princess Faith, probate, ? Please contact me. Yeah, soon, I'll put my email down here at the bottom. Eleanor, I've been learning wholesaling. Yes, it's a question. Any questions? Would you ever purchase a property from Chris? Would I ever purchase a property from a wholesaler to rehab and sell? Absolutely. Do it all the time. I'll buy one from Jimmy. I don't care. As long as the numbers work for me.
Right.
How much David Bruins? Oh, that was from Carrie Stringfellow. Would I ever buy a house from a wholesaler? We do it all the time, Carrie. David Bruins, how much does a college degree cost? Oh, for a 9-to-5 job, I don't know. Chris, thank you for Chris Monroe. Thanks for supporting my channel, brother. You are priceless. Thank you, and thank you for being there watching too, brother. Thank you for your contribution for supporting my channel, so we can keep this thing rolling. Erica Fate, are you a member of any RIAs, brother Jimmy?
I am. I am a member in the Grand Rapids local RIA where I live, and they have events. I think they meet once or twice a month. And like a BW3s, and it's a great networking opportunity as well.
Yep.
To surround yourself with like-minded individuals, and you can kind of network and meet different people. And there's contractors that show up to these things. There's attorneys. There's accountants. There's lenders.
Get out there, Erica.
Are looking to lend money and put their money to work for them.
Yep. You meet guys like you.
Absolutely. I mean, you get out there. You do it. Go attend a RIA event.
Yes, get out there. Don't be scared. Don't try to meet everybody when you go. Just pick out 2 new people to meet. You can't meet everybody in one night. Pick out 1 or 2 people to meet and go meet them. Just like Jim and I did. I met, a whole lot of people at the seminar, but we meet a few people that you can connect with and do it. How many seminars did you go to before you had the courage, Jimmy? How many seminars? Erica Fate wants to know.
Just took 1.
1. All right. Got that down. Chris, thank you.
This is one other thing I want to mention.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
I can't stress it enough. I'm going to burn it into you guys' mind. Take action. That's what it's about. Yeah. You don't have to know everything. Do a little bit of research and then take action. Do something that's, a step in that direction.
You can't hear me. Can y'all see me? You can hear me, but no video. Oh, it went out. I knew the video went out. Kathy Bradford wants to know, Jimmy, how do you know what to say when you meet with the seller on your first deal?
It's a very good question. It's something that I learned by attending seminars. And
before you got to real estate, though, I mean, from what you're talking, the way that you speak, I feel like you were
comfortable talking to people.
Comfortable talking to people, and you had a good command of the English language as well, and you could build rapport, though.
That's correct. That is correct.
So I want them to know that, though. This isn't overnight, though, brother.
True story.
This isn't overnight.
True story. It does help to be comfortable talking to people. And if that is you, if you are uncomfortable talking to people, then that's a mountain that you'll have to climb. But I think that that's something that will help you in things aside from real estate.
Talking to people, yeah, it's valuable.
It's very valuable.
Priceless.
I know there's people who have a fear of public speaking or talking to new people. They kind of have to warm up to people first.
She wants to know, how did you get over the fear? Is it something that you did over time?
I never really had a fear of talking to people. Yes, there was anxiety of, okay, what do I say? What if I say something stupid? But the reality of it is I did a little bit of research, which helped me kind of get a general idea of what questions to ask. YouTube is huge. There's tons of YouTube is a very valuable resource. There's tons of other people out there that do it, that anything that you want to know, you can Google or look up on YouTube to kind of get the answers that you're looking for in terms of what do I say? What's the general idea of what to say? Not necessarily verbatim. I didn't have a script. I just needed to know what are the questions that I need to ask and get answered when I interact with a seller.
Kathy from Alabama also wants to know, what did you say to the caller when they contacted you over the phone? First, what did you initially talk about?
Good question. So I obviously put out some form of marketing for them to reach out to me that says we buy houses. So when they responded to my marketing, I assume that they have a house for sale. Yes, this is Jimmy. How can I help you? And they typically respond by saying, yeah, I saw one of your signs, or I saw your ad on Craigslist. And I'd say yes. My name is Jimmy Sherrills. I buy and sell houses locally here in the area. Do you have a house for sale? As simple as that.
Nice. Okay. Kathy, we do have some negotiating audio, and you can get my real estate negotiating Bible on Amazon.com, or email me and I'll email you a copy. You got to know what to say. I mean, I made it a study of it. I was taking books, courses, seminars on being able to just talk to people. Nick wants to know, asking me, he's about to start flipping and rehabbing, which you are. Are you doing that, Jimmy, at all?
I am wholesaling currently.
Right.
I have not done my first rehab yet.
All right.
It's
you don't have to. Yeah, we talked. Yeah. It's rough. How long can it take to get to the point that he can quit his full-time job?
That depends on you.
Wow. It's a big one.
I think that depends on you.
Everybody's different. This is Nick from Durham, North Carolina. I'm sorry, Nick. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it depends on you. Everyone is different. Everybody has a different risk tolerance.
Everybody's cash needs too.
Everybody's financial situation isn't the same.
Somebody got a $3,000 mortgage every month is going to be different from $1,000.
And if you got, 50 grand in the bank, and you got some money that could tie you over for a few months, maybe you could do that. But here's the reality of it.
All money's temporary, bro. I don't care how much you got.
That, and you can start off doing this part-time. You don't necessarily have to be in a situation where you just jump both feet in like I did. I actually started part-time. I did this on the side. I worked my 9 to 5 and I did this on the side. Nice. I needed to prove to myself that I can do it. But the biggest thing is I took action.
Wow, I'm hearing that. I'm hearing repetition, that action thing, brother. Nick, I hope he helped you. You guys, please give me a thumbs up for our optimization concerns. Please give us a thumbs up. If we're doing okay, I think you're doing a good job, Jim. Theresa wants to know, where do you recommend finding a good assignment of contract template? I can email you one.
Chris could help you out with that.
Yeah, I'll put. Matter of fact, dang, let me do that. I'll put my email in here. If you need the contract assignment, I'll put my email address down here. If you need a contract or a contract assignment, just send me an email. Yes, I'm going to charge you a few dollars, but I created mine over 10 years ago. Before I met Ron Legrand. That's a whole another training.
I'm sure Chris probably has something that can help you with what to say too, or at least a general idea of it, right?
Yeah, my negotiating, we have 11. I don't offer it at all times, but I've got an 11 audio negotiating series that I'm not offering it on this training. But if you email me, I'll send you a link where you can get some more information on it.
That's huge.
How many closings? How many days to closing is considered? Teresa wants to know, how many days to closing is considered a cash sale? She's nervous that she won't find a buyer in time, Jimmy. Analysis.
Very normal feeling to have. It's not necessarily the amount of days that determine it as a cash sale. So hopefully I'm answering this right. It's not about how many days you close within that makes it a cash sale. The general rule of thumb is yes, there is. Let me rephrase that. Generally speaking, cash sales are done within 30 days or less.
Generally speaking. Well, they can be done in 3 days or less.
Correct. But generally speaking, 30 days or less. And generally speaking, more traditional sales are done within 45 days or less.
The traditional, for our viewers that might not understand the difference between cash and traditional, Jimmy, what would that be?
Well, cash is that you're not using any type of financial institutional funding. You're not using a bank loan to close the deal. You're basically using money from
your bank.
You
go into the bank and you going to give me a cashier's check. I'm going.
And that's not even that's relative as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be your bank.
It doesn't have to be or your money. It could be your partner's money.
Exactly. So a cash deal is basically money that's not coming from a bank loan.
There you go, a loan. Yeah, well, yeah, a loan that you signing for
at a bank.
But it could be a loan like if Jimmy were to buy a house. I might just say, hey, Jimmy, let's do this deal together. I might just bring the cash. That's still considered a cash deal.
Correct.
Because he's not going in and chopping off his right arm and giving it to the bank representative for them to give him that loan. We don't want you to do that.
Where they want to see tax returns, W-2s,
credit report, bank statements,
and your
they want your arm.
Your firstborn. They want your artery, your left leg.
We don't do that. We don't do that.
And they want you to guarantee all that debt.
Yes, we don't guarantee debt. I love it.
Hopefully we answered that question.
I think we did. She's nervous at cash sale. Evan, New Orleans in the building. That's cool. New Orleans. We met some people from New Orleans today.
We did. The NO.
Yeah. I wanted to know if I could get a house cheapest for myself, not to flip, but to live in. How do I know if it's a good deal or not?
Well, if you're going to live in it, I'll let you take this one, Chris.
I want to know if taking over the payments is better. I'm going to do a training. Whenever you can put the dot, Zig Ziglar said, Evan, that's a great question. For me, I knew the house that I lived in, I knew I didn't want to get a loan. I knew I didn't want to sign for any debt. I knew this. So I put the dot on the board, and then you paint the circumstances around this dot, and you can hit a bullseye every time if you start with the dot. So for me, for my owner occupant, I'm like, I know I don't want to get a loan. I want to have a low monthly payment. I know I don't want to put a lot down, but I'll put some cash down. I'm ready to do some repairs. I'll do some repairs. And I don't want to have to worry about my credit or turning in a bank statement or applying for a loan. So those are the 6 or 7 criteria, Jimmy, that I used to buy my owner-occupied house. But I knew I had those layers. It took me some time to find it, but I knew that's what I wanted. I didn't want to go to the bank. I'm just sick of dealing with them. I remember Ron said yesterday, they'll chop you at the knees whenever they want to.
So and there's nothing you can do about it. But you know what? That's a great question, and I can add to that too. In addition to what he said, it helps to pay attention to what the market is doing, meaning what's going on with the properties around it. Yeah. And there's a website called rentometer.com. That seems to be a pretty popular website where you can find out what rents are going on in that area. I think you can type in a property address or type in a zip code, and you can see all the general rents for that area to determine, okay, is the monthly payment high or low if you're talking about taking over somebody's payments.
For him to move into, you said? He wants to move into something.
Right.
Okay.
But he still wants to know how do I know if it's a good deal, even though I'm going to live in it.
Gotcha.
So I was just going to say, in that area, try to find out what the rents are going for. One resource is a website called rentometer.com. And then also you can kind of try to get a gauge for the other properties that's sold in that general area as well.
Good idea. Jimmy, you drop us some nuggets. Carrie Stringfellow, what is the best way to build a list Build a lead list of wholesalers. Build a lead list of wholesalers. What do you think about that, Jimmy?
What's the best way to build a list of wholesalers? Well,
wholesalers are everywhere. I mean, go ahead.
One suggestion is this: you can, as you're driving, start paying attention to the signs that are on the side of the road. You'll see signs that say "We buy houses."
I buy houses.
And those are your other real estate investors in the area. You can actually call them, say, "Hey, my name is so and so. I don't have a house for sale, but I was just wondering, if you guys have any properties in your inventory. Do you guys wholesale or do you just fix and flip? Because if you guys do wholesale, I'd love for you to add me to your buyers list and call me when you guys have a deal that you can flip to me, and I'd be happy to come out and take a look at it."
That's a good one.
So, and you can go to Craigslist as well. You may see other investors who post their ads. Call them as if you're a seller. When they answer, you just let them know, "Hey, I'm not a seller. I'm actually looking for properties myself. I'm just wondering if you guys have anything in your inventory that you'd be willing to wholesale to me. Or if you guys even, wholesale, I'm more than willing to give you my information, my name, my number, my email for you guys to reach out to me the next time you get something under contract."
Very good. I like that, brother. Jimmy, you dropping it. Whole bunch of ways. Craigslist. You can go to rent to owns. A lot of us investors, I do a lot of lease options. So just go to Craigslist, rent to own, type it in. Usually investors are doing rent to owns. You don't see a lot of homeowners doing rent to owns, I wouldn't think.
Right.
Or lease options.
Correct.
That we've talked about today.
Correct.
Beezer, what up? Should you ask the seller when you meet them if they already have the house under contract? That could be a good question to ask. Jimmy?
Could you repeat the question once more?
Beezer wants to know, where are you calling from, Beezer? Should she ask the seller when you meet with them if they already have the house under contract with somebody else?
I think that if that's the case, that's something that they would let you know.
Yeah. That'd be rough.
They would let you know if they already, or they wouldn't call you, because generally speaking, if you already have the contract, if you already have your property under contract with someone else, then you can't sell it to someone else. Otherwise, you're breaching the existing contract that you're in. Unless they have a certain type of situation where this person is backing out or they can't, fulfill their obligation to the contract. Those are things that they'll almost immediately let you know about.
Yeah, we have ways to prevent sellers from backing out of contracts. I've been through that 10 times till I learned how to do that. Because it will happen.
So to answer your question, you could ask them, "Is your house currently under contract?" I guess it wouldn't hurt, but generally speaking, there's no need for it.
Generally speaking, yeah. Dave Bruins. Hey, Dave. Where are you reaching out to from? How can you use another phone number on your bandit sign?
How can you Google Voice?
Got it. Got that quick.
You can get your Google Voice number. Doesn't cost you a penny.
T&WS, changing priority business. I don't know what that is. Kyla, hey, did you talk about the sign thing? She's in Detroit. What sign thing, Kyla? Do you know what you're talking about?
Bandit signs, but it would help, Kyla, if you could be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, a little more specific on that one, Kyla. We will answer it, but I don't know. Ty, Smitty, we're not bothering you?
No.
Smitty's over there hanging in there.
I'm
Scott, any thoughts on?
I'm the live audience.
Any thoughts on resources for someone who wants to look into loaning money to people doing real estate? That's like you.
You got that.
How do you find good candidates? How do we protect yourself? Scott, you digging tonight. You digging. How do you protect yourself? If you borrow money, so you need to protect your lenders. I don't want you to mess their money up.
Could you reread the question?
Any thoughts on resources? Okay, resources for someone who wants to look into loaning money to people doing real estate. Okay.
So they're looking to be a lender. Yes.
Gotcha, Scott. Okay. How do you find good candidates? Very hard. Wow. Okay, you're a lender. Yeah, I am a lender now also. I gotta tell you, Scott, you would think when you cross the border or the fence and get some capital, let's just do it like that. I don't know how much you have. You would think that it would be easier to do business. In reality, it's harder because now you have capital. You can make a mistake and mess that capital up. And I find, Scott, that it is more money in the marketplace than it is savvy and progressive borrowers. Let me repeat that. It's harder to find savvy and progressive and smart borrowers than it is to find the money. So the money is out there, it's trillions of dollars out there in the marketplace. And it is challenging because even for me, I only deal with a few people in my area. I know these men, I can give them 20, 30, 40, 50 a check, and I know they're going to do what they're supposed to do, but it is challenging. I would say to find good, savvy borrowers is what you're looking for, I think. Is that what he's looking for, Jimmy? Good borrowers?
Yes, and I would say, someone who can provide some sort of a track record
How many houses have you done?
would be helpful. Someone who can speak intelligently to make you feel confident enough that they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say someone who is making it clear that the investment is going to be secured through a third party. You're not, giving them money hand by hand. Everything is done, at a title company or through an attorney.
Yeah, that's what we do.
You actually, is it kind of like you getting a mortgage on it?
It is. Same thing. There is no difference.
So the property is being held as leverage.
Collateral.
If they default on paying you the money back based on the terms that you guys have agreed upon, you're going to get this property. And quite honestly, I'm not a lender, but I've kind of done a little bit of research on that as well. Advantageous for them to default because a lot of times the property can be valued more than what the money was, right?
Yes.
It's not always the case. It depends on the deal and the situation. It has to be a good enough deal, obviously. And it should meet certain criteria. But if they default and you inherit the property, you could pretty much make more money on it, right?
Yeah, well, Scott, your intentions when you're talking to the IRS, your intentions is to do the loan and get paid off.
Yes.
But the lender, if you're savvy, you know what the hell you're doing. The lender you will win. You can't lose. You win if they pay. You win if they don't pay because you take the house back.
That's the message I was trying to get
across.
across.
He's trying to say you win. Whichever way is going to be first.
Right.
But you don't want to be in a business of taking houses back. So you need to find guys like me or Jimmy. Like we borrow money from all around the country. It's amazing how we are just blessed to have people to lend us money. Not because of me. It's nothing to do with me. I'm not that smooth. It's all about the plan. It's about the plan. So when people call, they say, look, they ask me what I have. I've got a house. We're buying it for X. We've already got the contractor set up to do the work for Y. We're selling it for Z. We're paying 8% APR. What do you want to do? Just lay it down like that. If you're interested or not, and we move on. So you need to go to your RIA. Don't advertise that. Yeah, you need to be real selective because they'll try to get you. Scott, if you want us to get your money working for you, I can. I mean, we've got projects all the time. Just email me. Kyla. Oh, did I miss one? Uh-oh. Golly. Okay. Nick, thanks for the answer. Carrie, how do you find your cash buyers? Jimmy, how did you find your cash buyers on that one?
I think we kind of
Did we cover that? Yeah. Real quick. Give me a quick one so we can move on.
Okay, we covered this one earlier, but basically you can use bandit signs that says cheap house, handyman special with your phone number on it. That's near the property. And then people will call it and say, oh, yeah, I was calling about the house that you said you had for sale.
Yep.
Craigslist.
When you add pictures.
Exactly. You add pictures and a description of the property, the price, cheap house, handyman special. It's kind of like a golden title. Investors, their ears always perk up.
Yeah.
And you can also get a list from a local real estate agent of other cash buyers in the area.
Within the last 6 months, they'll do a little vicinity search. They'll give you all the guys you can't lose with that. That will get your house sold if you don't get your house sold in that way, you might want to check your numbers. I mean, that's all I do.
Right.
I just see who's buying right down the street. Go knock on the door or go send them a letter or call them.
Exactly.
Cash buyer is another one. Perfectly answered. Thank you, Jimmy. Theresa McCoy. Hey. Beezer wants to know, when you wholesale, are you selling your contract with the seller to the cash investor?
Yes, that is correct.
That's how that works. Yeah. Are you doing? You're not buying anything, Beezer. All you're doing is selling, taking a piece of paper, and you're saying, "Give me 10 grand for this piece of paper."
Essentially, what you're doing is the piece of paper, the contract, the agreement represents your interest in this deal.
Equitable interest. Yes.
Equitable interest. What you're doing is selling your equitable interest to someone else, saying, okay, I had this under contract with you. I have an equitable interest in this property. We're about to get ready to close, but I've decided to sell my equitable interest or my position in this agreement to this person.
Yeah.
And so I make a deal with this person, and that they now own my position in this deal with the initial seller.
Yeah. That was real. That was a deep one there. That was the $20 answer there, Jimmy.
I tried to get descriptive.
Good gracious.
I want to answer the people's questions.
Nick, love the video. Chris, what's up, Chris? Typically, he asks the sellers, we're going back to that one about the other having the house under contract. He asks the seller, are there any other buyers interested? Yes, I do that all the time too. Kyla, that's why I don't want to sign. I don't know what that is. David from New Hampshire, what's up? Kyla, the signs you put out, go to jail. I will do a training on what put me in jail, but not tonight. That's not for tonight. I have been to jail for bandit signs. I had to hire an attorney. Go to court. How long have you been flipping, brother Jimmy? Corwin Reed wants to know, how long have you been in the business? Good question.
Less than a year. I just reached the 6-month mark.
Unbelievable. I love it. Kyla, I can find a lender. He or she would lend me money to fix the house, but would I still own it?
Could you repeat the question?
Her lender will lend her the house, but she wants to know, will she still own it when the lender lends her the property, lends her the money to buy the property?
What is her intentions?
Yeah, what are your intentions, Kyla? We gotta see if you.
Is your exit strategy to fix the property, to basically use it as an investment, or are you going to live in the property?
Yeah, how are you gonna do that? Corwin, have you guys ever done door knocking? Have you ever done door knocking?
I have not, but I'm researching that also.
Yeah, we do.
So that's not far-fetched.
Yes, I have a person that I pay to go door knocking every week. We do door knocking, but I'm not going to advise everybody to do that. It's an advanced strategy, and you are putting yourself at risk of dealing with a crazy person. So I'm not advising you. Your question was, have we ever done it? I do it every week. It is one of the things that I actually like to do. I love to go and interface because I love that pressure. The foreclosures next week, I'm on action. I'm on stage. I don't know, Jimmy, you seem like you might like that style too.
I've actually done it.
Okay.
The telecommunications company that I work for is called Comcast, and I actually used to sell door-to-door cable for them, and it was very lucrative at that
door-to-door
time.
lucrative, period.
It is. It's
because nobody want to do it.
It's a mixed bag of nuts. You never know what you're gonna get.
Could be a crazy person,
but it's awesome, and I feel like if you can conquer that, you can do anything. And one quick thing, what I've been researching, not necessarily door to door, to kind of sell a person or convince them that they should sell their house to me, but as a marketing strategy, leaving door hangers on the doors, door tags. Basically, you leave a little door hanger on the door, just drop it off. It says something like, "We buy houses, any condition."
Cash.
We
foreclosure,
whatever. Full price, whatever. Something catchy, right on their door.
Right on the door, works.
And they essentially, in a perfect world, they pick it up. Hey, this is interesting. I was thinking about selling. I need some money. Christmas is coming up. Let me call them, see what they're talking about.
Or they may do that, or may put it on the table. Next week they may call, next month. You don't know.
Exactly.
But they ain't gonna call if you got nothing there.
But it seems like it appears to be a solid marketing strategy.
Yep. All right, 2 more and we're gone. It's 11 o'clock, dog. C. Gomez, we're in Massachusetts, Boston, closing our second home. Wow. Would it be more beneficial to pay off our mortgages or use what capital we make to let me read. We're in Massachusetts, getting ready to close on our second home. Well, we don't know if that's a
An
home they
investment
live
home
in. Yeah, is that an investment home, C. Gomez, or is that a owner occupant home that you're gonna own?
or something that they're planning to rent out.
Yeah, we need. Yeah, I would hate to give you something wrong.
But finish the question though.
Will it be more beneficial to pay off our mortgages or use what capital we make to reinvest? So I guess it is an investment home.
Yep, second home duplex in parentheses.
Duplex. Well, are they renting it out or are they living in it? I think they're flipping it. Is their second home to live in or their second investment property?
Will it be more beneficial to pay off our mortgage or to use what capital we make to reinvest?
From the sale, maybe.
If this is an investment property,
Yeah.
I would say utilize it to reinvest into more
Equity somewhere,
assets. Because in turn, that could help make you more money. And so if I can simplify your question, it sounds like what you're asking is, okay, off the money that we're getting ready to make off this flip or this deal or whatever you're doing, should I pay my house off that I'm living in or pay off our mortgages if you owe money on your existing properties? Or should I use that money to reinvest in to acquire more properties? And in my professional opinion, I would say use that money to acquire more properties.
Buy more money, basically. You just buy more money.
Exactly.
With the new houses that you buy.
Exactly. Essentially, if you did the former, which would be to pay off your mortgages, that's debt pay down. So you eliminate some debt, but that doesn't necessarily make you more money per se.
Well, they don't have any. I don't know what the interest rate is. Yeah, this is too much.
It's a complex question, but generally speaking, me personally, I would say buy more money, reinvest that money into more assets.
But see, Jimmy's 31 though. You know, I don't know. You might be 60. I don't know. I mean, it's so much. If he's 60, I don't want you out there buying money. Too much risk. You need to be paying. If you're 60, you need to be mortgage free. I mean, you need to have no mortgage on your house. But Jimmy, you know, I'm 42. You're 31. You need to be buying as much deals as possible.
Yes, absolutely. You got it.
Yeah, Gomez. That's a one-on-one question. Damon, what up, dog? Where you been? Damon out in the D too. Damon,
nice.
You contact me. All right, yeah, I'll be around, man. David, how many houses have you wholesaled? Jimmy, David wants to know.
A few.
Wholesale a few. All right. Now that it is winter here, will you need to switch up your game?
Switch up. Yes, you adjust.
We do what we
things, slow down a bit. It's not as busy as, the spring and the summer months, but you don't stop. And in my mind, if you ask me, it gives me one up on the competition. I suspect that there are investors out there who are going to take it easy or take their foot off the gas pedal or, say, you know what, we're going to hang it up for the year. We're going to start back up in the spring. So in my mind, that's less competition. I continue to market. Maybe you don't use the bandit signs because if you got snow piled up to your kneecaps,
can't even get it in the ground.
You can't get it in the ground, but that's what I mean by you adjust. You can still market. There's direct mail campaigns, which we didn't have time. We didn't get a chance to cover, but
online leads.
Online leads, you can still market on Craigslist. So you adjust absolutely, but you don't stop.
All right, we're done. Last thing you want to drop in our viewers' spirits, Jimmy, for the future of their real estate career, being that you are new to the business. What can you tell people that are getting into the game to help them succeed in this cutthroat Business, my brother.
Believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in you, who else will? Do your best to understand the difference between assets and liabilities. I think that's critical to developing financial freedom. Are you talking about me right now?
I'm like, you talking. I love it.
Here's and I'll elaborate a little bit. I know we don't have much time, so I'll try to give you the short version.
I get you, Kyla. Good.
The difference between assets and liabilities. Okay. So liabilities, the house you live in right now, if you still have a mortgage on it, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, those are all liabilities. Contrary to popular belief, when people say, okay, the house that I live in, that's not an asset. I thought that was an asset. If it's costing you money, it is a liability. Assets make you money. Liabilities cost you money.
One definition.
So with that being said, do your best to understand the difference between the two, and that will drastically help you, as it has helped me, in making decisions regarding your financial success. The goal and the mission, one of the goals and missions should be to try and create wealth by acquiring more assets, opposed to spending all your money on liabilities, things that cost you money. If you, once you understand the difference between them, I know for me, it kind of made me reevaluate the things that, I wanted. I wanted a Jag, I wanted a Benz, I want to enjoy luxuries. And that's not to say that changes, because I still want to enjoy luxuries, and you can, but not from your own dime. You don't pay for those luxuries. The assets pay for the luxuries. So when you think about quote unquote rich or wealthy or affluent people, they certainly enjoy luxuries, Rolls Royces, Benz, Mercedes, but chances are they're not paying for it. They acquire an asset. They may be renting it out where they get $1,000 a month cash flow on it, and that asset pays for their $600 Mercedes car note.
The monthly income.
They're not paying for it. So once you understand the difference between those, you really reevaluate how you spend your money.
And how you've been spending it. That's the first thing we talked about when I met you. You remember talking about that the other day?
We talked about it a lot.
We did. But you were like, man, I didn't know what a liability or asset was, something like that. When did you get hip to that game, bro?
One thing that I always try to do, I'd like to think that I'm an intellectual person, but I try to surround myself with like-minded people. Of course, I study, I research, and I'm hungry for the knowledge to do more and be more. But I try to surround myself with inner circles and people that make me the dumbest person in the room, right?
Yeah, the best thing you can steal from anybody is their ideas.
Exactly. So who you associate yourself with, who you roll with, it has a major influence on you and the decisions that you make.
Wow, crazy.
So if you aspire to, to ascend or, go into a certain area of expertise, start trying to surround yourself with those type of people. Go to these readment meetings, like we mentioned. People who've been doing this real estate thing for a while. That's what I did. Right. And you just being around them, you soak up some information on accident, and things accidentally make sense. And
crazy.
You're kind of half paying attention, and you're talking to somebody, but you're overhearing a conversation over here, and you leave and what they said stuck, and you weren't even paying attention to what they were talking about. But surround yourself with the people who you aspire to be like.
Nice.
And there's game to be given.
Good. All right, it's Chris Haskins with the realestateroundup.com, hanging out with Jimmy Sherrills. I'm trying.
Everybody slaughters it. It's okay.
Chris Haskins. Somebody wants a T-shirt. I'll knock off $4 if you want to get a T-shirt tonight only. If you want a T-shirt, give me a few minutes so I can put a code. What code? I'll put a code. It'll be Jimmy 31. You 31, right?
I am.
Type in Jimmy 31. If you want a T-shirt, type in Jimmy 31 on the T-shirts down here. It'll be Jimmy, Jimmy 31 for t-shirts. If you want a t-shirt, Kayvon, what up, dog? If you want a t-shirt, get those tonight. I'll knock off $4, so you're not gonna get them cheaper anywhere else. I promise you. I already paid. I bought them from everywhere. So I did the research for you. It'll be $15 or something like that. If you want documents, I'll release those. Send me an email, David. I probably can't give you a huge discount tonight, but you send me an email and I'll give you my regular link. I gotta get him out of here. Okay, guys. Jimmy.
Just a real quick shout out to myself, if I may.
Yeah, man, go.
Follow me on Facebook, James_Sherrills. My name is James, but I go by Jimmy.
James, I'll put it in here. What is it?
James_.
James
Sherrills, my last name. Actually, no, just James Sherrills. We're talking about Facebook. What am I talking about? Underscore. James Sherrills on Facebook. SHERRILLS.
Okay.
Follow me on Instagram at Jimmy Rills. That's JIMMYRILLS. Peace and love, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous. This is my first podcast type of situation. So I hope I hope I did all right. Hope I answered your guys' question.
Smitty, can you go get a shout out or no?
Woo! Jimmy. I'm the live audience.
Smitty, you got a lot of wisdom too, Smitty. What do you like to leave our viewers tonight? Smitty, this dude knows.
Jimmy, you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming over.
I'll take it.
What do you want to leave for our new investors, Smitty? We're all here at this boot camp here, learning and training. Real quick, I gotta go pee.
Yeah, and you caught me off guard too.
Okay, well you don't gotta do it.
Yeah.
All right, you know, yeah. He wasn't ready. You're good, Smitty. All right, peace. See y'all later.
Peace.
Sorry about that, Smitty. I didn't mean to kill you on that one.